Good morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Wednesday, June 19, 2013. In the United States, the President's Affordable Health Care Act is moving toward final implementation this year. Health insurance exchanges have been set up in many states already. California is, as usual, at the vanguard in offering consumer choice. They're forcing insurers to compete more directly on price by requiring them to offer uniform deductible and benefits across four main products categories. In turn, insurers have resorted to squeezing hospitals and doctors for better rates. Well, one company has just decided to walk away, and that's Aetna. Aetna, which has long ago swallowed the former U.S. healthcare, has said that it would exit California's individual health insurance market by the end of this year and leave nearly 50,000 customers searching for new insurance. Aetna is the country's third largest health insurer. They're going to maintain a presence in California with a focus on large and small employers. The insurance department in Sacramento said that Aetna cannot re-enter California's individual market for 5 years after it leaves. I would not be surprised to see a law passed that requires a pulling out insurance company to lose all of its health coverage and not simply be able to cherry pick the profitable business. Chrysler has caved in 2 weeks after rejecting the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's recommendation for a recall of Cherokee Jeeps. The car maker announced that it has reached an agreement with the government, and they continue to confirm that the data indicates that their vehicles are not defective, but the government indicates that it's satisfied. We'll see what happens. Number three biggest reinsurer in the world, Hanover Re, said that they still continue to maintain a income guidance for the calendar year of about 800 million euros. This is despite the fact that the European floods might cost it about 133 million euros, and the Oklahoma City tornado could well come in at approximately 30 million euros, but they still believe that they're going to hit the 800 million target. Yesterday in Northern Ireland, the British Premier and several cabinet members met with British Prime Minister David Cameron, and they emerged from the meeting saying that Bermuda and other overseas territories are being used as scapegoats for policy failures of larger countries, and more must be done to educate Europe and the U.S. about Bermuda's business market. They stressed that no agreements were signed in London, but that there was a groundswell of opinion expressed to them about offshore financial centers. The reasons for this, according to the Bermuda politicians, was first of all, the U.S. is coming out of recession and Europe and the U.K. are not. Unemployment remains very high in the UK, budget deficits are ballooning, so it's a very difficult and negative environment over there, and to some extent Bermuda and other overseas territories are being used as scapegoats and distractions for domestic policy failures. More must be done, he said, in order to educate both the British governing bodies as well as the British public about the benefits of Bermuda. Meanwhile, in Brazil, more protests continue. Tens of thousands of people have taken to the streets of several Brazilian cities for the second night. Sao Paulo had about 50,000 people last night. The city has 11 million people. And also yesterday, 200,000 people marched in the streets of Rio de Janeiro, the second biggest city. The target of the protests have now widened to include corruption and excessive government spending on hosting the World Cup tournament instead of on health, education, and other public services. The United States National Association of Insurance Commissioners has weighed in, claiming that the insurers should not be forced to hold extra capital simply because they happen to be gigantic. G20 world leaders have backed imposing extra capital requirements on the biggest banks beginning in 2016 to avoid a repeat of any taxpayer bailouts. But the insurance commissioners say that insurers are different than banks, and that in fact adding simply more requirements for reserves is not necessarily going to be an end-all answer. We are a little concerned about that being the primary regulatory tool being applied to these insurers. This is according to a senior staff member at the NAIC. The Insurance Commission of Louisiana, who was the vice chairman of the NAIC, said, "I don't think globally systemic insurers at this point have been shown to require anything beyond that which is envisioned for the rest of the market. Translation, percentages for big, medium, and small shouldn't be changed. There have been heavy rains in southwestern France. It's forced the closure of the Catholic pilgrimage site at Lourdes and the evacuation of pilgrims from nearby hotels. French TV is saying that the holy site will not reopen until safety can be assured. Rescue services are evacuating hundreds of people from hotels. Regional town centers have been inundated, as well as road closures are abounding in the area. Here's an interesting story. TWA Flight 800, which crashed in 1996, supposedly as a result of a problem with the fuel tank that caused a spark that caused the plane to explode after it took off from JFK heading to Paris. Former investigators of the flight crash are calling on the National Transportation Safety Board to re-examine the case now. The retired investigators claim that the findings were falsified. This is all in connection with a documentary on the plane crash on the anniversary of the '96 crash that's coming out in July. The NTSB said it would review any petition it receives from the documentary's producers. It could be very interesting. There are a whole host of people, conspiracy theorists they've generally been classified as until now, who claim that the plane was destroyed by some sort of surface-to-air missile that was launched from a boat offshore on Long Island. We'll see what happens with this. That's the news for today. Everybody, breaking news. We'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.